On the House, the podcast where we talk about movies, TV shows, and video games because, hey, whatever we want to talk about, it's on the house. Merry Christmas, everyone. Joining me.
Happy winter solstice.
And happy Life Day, or whatever they call it in Star Wars. I don't know. I've never put myself through the holiday special.
You actually got it right.
Cultural osmosis. Yes, folks, it's that time of year where we start watching those wintry Christmas specials, even if you live in an area that doesn't get snow.
And here in America, you've probably been seeing these before Halloween even happened.
No, easily. I mean, I think Hallmark starts their Christmas specials in July.
Don't get me started on Hallmark.
But this year, we're going to kind of take a look at two specials. The first one, you probably guessed, is All of the Other Reindeer. This was Dave's pick. So, Dave, why don't you give us a little backstory on this one?
Okay, well, I've always been a person who would watch whatever Christmas specials were playing on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network back in the day. The day in question being like end of 90s, early to mid 2000s. And this one was one that was constantly on Cartoon Network. And as the years went on, I gradually started to realize, like, I honestly think this is one of my favorite Christmas specials.
Awesome. As for me personally, I first saw this. I believe this originally aired on like CBS or something, but I didn't see
Fox.
it until Fox. Okay, I knew it was one of the big four, but I didn't personally see it until it debuted on Cartoon Network. I actually thought it was a new one for Cartoon Network, and I only saw it the one time. So while it's something I remember, it stuck with me. But it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, I've seen it, but I don't necessarily remember too much about it. So that's kind of what my relationship was. So it was kind of fun rediscovering this one when you said you wanted to watch it.
And I'm glad I take it you enjoyed it, of course, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so the plot of this one is there's a dog named Olive, voiced by Drew Barrymore, who's just excited for the holidays, but it looks like Santa's going to have to cancel his flight this year. It's because one of the reindeers is injured. Because she mishears the saying "all of the other reindeer" as Olive, the other reindeer. She thinks she has to go to the North Pole to help. Meanwhile, there's cranky mailman who hates the holiday season for good reason because he gets work overloaded trying to spoil the holiday for everyone. And then she also has a penguin con artist friend helping her out.
Yeah, that's pretty much the basic outline. Really, once you get the premise, you kind of know how this thing's going to go, but it's the journey that they take in order to get there. And I personally really enjoyed the characters in this. Olive is just kind of one of those good-spirited, I'm just going to do the right thing kind of characters that you can't help but root for. Or the con artist penguin is, now that I think about it, I think Madagascar might have ripped this off, actually, with their con artist penguin. Huh. I'm just realizing this. Son of a gun.
Well, I do know this was actually the same studio that later did the Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius show on Nickelodeon.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
And of course, the villain is basically the you from the alternate reality where you remained in your old job.
Yes, I couldn't help but laugh with that guy. It's like, boy, if he thinks the Christmas rush is bad now, he's just got to wait about 4 or 5 years till Amazon makes his life a living hell.
Well, there's obviously not going to be a spoiler section on this because it's a Christmas special. How do you think it ends? But
they're trying to save Christmas. The only spoiler would be if they pulled like a Friday Night Lights and the ending wasn't what you expect it to be every single time.
So what stuck out to you because you rewatched it only recently compared to me?
One of the things that stood out to me a lot is this obviously did not have a huge budget, but they stylized the animation to look very similar to the book that this was based on, as you pointed out to me, Dave.
Yeah.
So it's like they're able to stretch a limited budget on very stylized animation. So this holds up extremely well considering most computer direct to TV animation at the time just it's ugly to look at now, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, even looking back at like the first Toy Story compared to now, it's just such a stark difference.
Oh yeah, definitely. But in addition, it's like I said, the main characters in this were just great, and I love that the whole premise on this is kind of just a misunderstanding of hearing lyrics. It makes me think in a parallel universe, there's a movie about there being a bathroom on the right in Bad Moon Rising.
I was going to ask, like, what are some other phrases or lyrics you've misheard in your life that took you surprised?
You know, the biggest one for me is there's two. One is in the song Purple Haze. I always thought the lyric was "Excuse me while I kiss this guy," as opposed to "Excuse me as I kiss the sky." And the other one is in the Black Sabbath song Paranoid. I always thought the lyric was "I tell you to end your life," when it's actually "I tell you to enjoy life." So that's about as polar opposite of what the actual lyrics are as possible. How about you?
Well, I forget what group did this, but you know the song goes, "I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, your desire." You know that one?
Yeah.
When I saw it when I was younger, I honestly thought they were saying like, "I'm your penis." Like I didn't. When I was younger, I thought you can't say that in a song, can you, on the radio?
Apparently you can. That's funny.
But speaking of songs, there's a few musical numbers here, and they're relatively catchy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say for me, they're nothing that I'm gonna be humming the rest of the day or anything, but they're definitely catchy songs. You know, they serve their purpose. They help fill out the runtime because I think this is only what about a 45-minute special or so,
Yeah.
and it feels like yes, this should be about 45 minutes. I mean, there's nothing worse than a special that goes on for 10 minutes longer than it should have, you know?
And one of the songs was actually sung by the lead singer of REM.
You know, I just noticed that and was going to bring that up if you didn't.
Yeah, we've mentioned Drew Barrymore, but this does have a fairly recognizable cast for the time.
Yeah, it's got a Timothy Meadows is one of them, though. To be honest, his performance was kind of, I thought, the weak link of the bunch, which is weird because normally Tim Meadows steals everything he's in, you know. But for me, he was just kind of okay. Anyone could have done this role, but for the rest of them, yeah, it's very good cast. I wouldn't be surprised at the fact that this was produced by Matt Groening, who you may know for The Simpsons and Futurama.
And knowing that in hindsight, there's a lot of his style of humor in this once I knew that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know how involved he was, but the Penguin especially, there's some very Simpson-esque jokes.
Mm-hmm. And just the fact his name is Martini.
Hmm. And plus, they had Ed Eisner as Santa Claus, which that's perfect casting right there.
Mm-hmm. So, any scenes that stuck out to you that you really enjoyed or found very funny?
You know, there's a couple of. I think the joke I laughed the hardest at is at the very end. There's a montage of Santa delivering the presents and whatnot, and they go through Paris, and there's the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and he tosses him a back scratcher. It's such a simple joke, but I laughed my ass off at it.
And I think there's two instances where the mailman has taken Oliver Martini hostage in his mail van, and they get out by a package that was labeled from Deus Ex Machina.
Oh, that was a great one.
I just realized both this and the Child's Play 3 had the joke of a villain complaining another tampering with the mail was a federal offense.
Yes. Yes, I gotta say, having formerly worked for the post office, I get why this guy snapped. The phrase going postal is a phrase for a reason, folks.
Though I always like the implications of these kind of Christmas specials where Santa is a confirmed real thing and that the North Pole is a place you could go. The idea is basically if we wanted to, you or me could just screw up Christmas for everyone in this world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did get another joke I really liked was when they get closer to the North Pole, there's the cartoon equivalent of a biker bar. And they're just like, well, why are you people so mean? It's like, well, it's the North Pole. The economy's based on Santa, and we're all on the naughty list. That was just the implication there really made me chuckle. I mean, really, there's not too much you can say on this one just because it's a short special. It's like, it's very cute. It goes the way you think it does. It looks great, especially considering it's old enough to drink now legally.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that for a minute.
I mean, if we took movies and TV specials as people, the original Spider-Man movie can vote now.
Yep. I had that realization just with the Spider-Man Far From Home or No Way Home, whatever it's called. I get the names mixed up. That
No Way Home.
It's been long enough that we've reached the point where we're nostalgic for the original Spider-Man movies.
And I will say, as a kid, I kind of always had somewhat of a bias towards the more modern Christmas specials. I saw all the old school classics that everyone had, but I don't know, I was more inclined to like newer stuff, and this one stuck with me throughout the years.
Well, I can definitely see why. I mean, for me personally speaking, for most of my childhood, we only would briefly have cable, for 6 months here or there if we happened to be renting an apartment that had it. So I didn't grow up with a lot of the Cartoon Network specials and whatnot so much. So this just so happened to debut on Cartoon Network during one of the points where we did have it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely nice to see more of these specials like this. But for the most part, when it came to Christmas specials, I was kind of left with what airs on the 4 major networks, which is why I kind of have more of an affinity for the traditional Charlie Brown, Garfield, Rudolph ones in general.
But yeah, we only briefly mentioned this, but this was based on a book where they obviously had to expand the plot greatly to fit 45 minutes, and the entire Postman thing isn't in the book at all. But they managed to perfectly recreate how the book looks if you even just find a still of the cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, it's perfectly paced where it doesn't feel like they're stretching it out. The live action Grinch or the newer Grinch or Polar Express, where these are clearly short Christmas books and you're really stretching them out. I will say I did get a chuckle out of, even though this takes inspiration from the Rudolph line, all of the other reindeer in this universe, Rudolph is just an urban legend.
I mean, doesn't this original song, when you think about it, just imply that even though it's trying to go for a bullying is wrong message, they only got nice to Rudolph when he was suddenly useful?
Yeah, I was having that conversation with someone the other day. Like, for example, Santa in that original special is really a douche. And then there's the joke, it's Rudolph, a story about a person who's completely cast out from society until his mutation is deemed invaluable to the rest of it.
But overall, this is a Christmas special I find myself rewatching at least once every holiday season, and I'm glad it's stuck with a lot of people too, and it's remained in my top 10 over the years, and it's comfort food.
Yeah, I would describe this is a Christmas cookie, you know? It's sweet, it's enjoyable, and it just hits the spot when you need something like it, you know?
Yeah. The one thing I've wondered about is I haven't found any articles that explain like why Matt Groening wanted to do this project. I'd be curious if he ever did an interview on it.
I don't know. I know from what I the only thing that I really saw on it was that this debuted about the same time as Futurama, so
Headcanon, it's the same universe.
I don't know. We know what Futurama did with dog characters. I don't know if we want that.
Are you walking on sunshine, Clancy?
Hmm?
Are you walking on sunshine? I like that you knew what that meant.
Yeah.
But yeah, just give this a watch if you haven't already.
Yeah, for sure. It's got our recommendation, and stick around, folks. In a little while, we'll have another Christmas special to look at for you. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and Dave, thank you for joining me once again.
Happy non-denominational holiday.